Hello everybody and welcome back to the Decan videos. Today is Libra 3, so our final Decan in Libra. And I already kind of switched a bunch of cards out. And I know I usually leave them and then switch them, but today I kind of did something a little bit different. So the Decan that just finished was the Three of Swords with the World and Justice. And I usually spend a little bit of time recapping how that came in. And honestly, there wasn't a whole heck of a lot that happened that I felt was Three of Swords energy, which makes me happy because I didn't want to deal with that. The only thing I can think of was something did happen, but it's really quite personal, so I can't really share it. However, I do feel that that was maybe my Three of Swords that came through because the situation was really emotional. There was a lot of, it was like just the completion of something or the realization of something. And it kind of sucked. So I can't, like I said, I can't get into it. It's a personal matter. However, like I said, I feel like that was my Three of Swords, like energy or thing that happened, right? So today we are going to switch out and look at some different cards. I'm excited for this Decan. Not the next one, but this one I'm excited about because it is one of my most favorite cards in the tarot, and that is the Four of Swords. And we're going to have the Wheel of Fortune jumping in with it. And we'll switch these Hermetic Tarots. So for Hermetic Tarot, oops, I got these reversed. In Hermetic Tarot, the Four of Swords is called Lord of Rest from Strife. And the Wheel of Fortune is called Lord of the Forces of Life. So those are the new energies that are coming in for this Decan. We also swapped out the Queen of Swords over here for the Knight of Cups, which is another one of my cards that I do like. So if you're paying attention over here, we are all cup energy. It's all cups. Ace of Cups, Page of Cups, and Knight of Cups. So obviously we're dealing with a lot of emotions, that kind of more of an emotional person, an emotional response to things, right? Because remember, these are just like the underlying currents of this Decan, or the Decans, because they actually exist for quite a few. However, this gives you a good idea of the court cards, because these are going to be energies or personalities or people that you run into during these Decans, right? The ones that are in place. So obviously, you know, we're going to be dealing with a lot of emotional stuff because it's all cups, or at least coming from a place of emotion or reacting from a place of emotion, or running into more emotional people, right? Maybe you'll have an influx of Pisces energy or water element energy coming into this chapter, right? So different ways to look at those. And like I said, I don't go into these too much because I don't want to complicate things, but they are there for you to just kind of have that extra energies to tap into if you really want to get to know the court cards, which most people do. Court cards to me, when I was learning tarot and for quite a few years afterwards, they stumped me all the time. I never understood what they were or how they came into play or how to look at them when they came up in readings. And still sometimes to this day, I get a little stumped when all of a sudden a court card shows up in a question and I'm just like, what the frick? Like, it just sometimes they can get a little confusing, right? Most of the time I'm good to go, but once in a while they still do throw me for a loop. So I feel like they're just always things we need to be learning. And yeah, so we're still in the Libra energy. We're still dealing with the cardinal sign. We're still in air, right? So that's all good. But like I said, this is our last Decan in Libra. So the next time all of these will be changing. And we'll be looking at a whole new zodiac sign. All right, let's flip our planetary influence. So it is Jupiter. All right, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. I'm feeling it's going to be kind of a quiet, reflective Decan. Time to just kind of take a pause, to relax, to sit back. some healing, some peace, maybe some time meditating, doing quiet things, right? And I'm really looking forward to it. Like I said, this is like one of my favorite cards in tarot, in the RW. I don't know why. I just, when I look at it, it just brings me so much peace and calm and comfort. And it's like that, for me, I feel like right now, it's like that getting ready for winter. Like that getting ready to just rest. And to like for me, winter, I mean, obviously other than Christmas, winter is just quiet and it's reflective and it's just a nice time to spend quiet time doing quiet activities like reading books and watching movies, meditating. I usually pick a couple of the decks that like I really, really want to get comfy and cozy with and learn like their actual system. And I'll pull out their books and I'll start to study them and understand a little bit more of their system and where they're coming from. And sometimes it's simply refreshing because I have learned that deck in the past, but I haven't really revisited its guidebook or its method or the way that it does things or how it was created. And I will revisit it because, like I said, I haven't worked with the deck in a long time. And I want to just refresh my knowledge of how that deck and the creator created the system for it to be in, right? So, because if you're in the tarot world, that not everything I hear is to the Thoth or the RW, that there is decks out there that have their own complete system and are just doing their 100% their own thing. Like the Voyager Tarot, very much doing its own thing. The Tantric Dakini, very much doing its own thing. Like there's a lot of stuff that's very much just doing its own thing. And those are study decks. Like those are decks to get in on those quiet winter days and evenings and nights and just start to really learn those decks for the way that they were meant and created to be used, right? So stuff like that. I think of like when I see this card, I think of like bubble baths and just quiet and closing in and being comfy and relaxing. Like he's so peaceful looking in this card, right? So to me, that's what it's kind of all about. And I love, 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 love relaxing and just chilling and getting nice and comfy and curling up on the couch with a good book and a nice blanket and slippers and sweatshirts and hoodies and jogging pants and just relaxing, right? Like I really enjoy that. So, all right. That's kind of where I think that this is all going to go. And then we're going to get into Susan T. Chang's book. We're going to read what she says about it. And we are going to then, of course, get in and read on these a little bit clearer. I think today I'm going to read the cards first and then go into Susan's book and just kind of clarify these energies a little bit and then get into what she says. I don't know, this is kind of different than what I've usually been doing, but I just feel I feel like doing it this way, this video. All right, so Jupiter is the generous daddy, the one to provide luck, good fortune, and benevolence. It expands horizons and bestows optimism. It encourages faith, lifts spirits high. Philosophy and meaning of life are its characteristics. Awesome. So once again, that's that, that nice energy, right? I feel like it's very much tied into like the Ace of Cup energy too. Like to me, these are like anchoring down each side of this spread. And I think it like, I don't know, they reflect each other. All right, so that is what's going on here. I don't read into these. Remember, if you want to know what's going on up here, just go back to the Decan, the Libra 1 video, and we go over all of that. All right, let's look at these Hermetic Tarot cards. So the Four of Swords. Four of Swords, Lord of Rest from Strife. Two clenched fists emerge from the clouds at the bottom corners of the card. Between the fists are the four swords that cross in the center at the point of the rose with 5 petals. Around the rose emanates numerous radiations that serve as a shield. At the top are 2 small daggers whose points meet, and at the bottom 2 small daggers whose hilts meet. The symbol of Jupiter and Libra are incorporated into the design of the hilts of the daggers. This card represents the last decan of Libra ruled by Jupiter. Thus Jupiter in Libra, and then it gives you your degrees, 20 degrees to 30 degrees. In this card, an agreement has been reached, and Jupiter and Libra are in harmony. Because of the truths, the hands do not hold the swords. All right, let's get my camera to focus. And there it is. Very cool. It's a really cool card. For some reason, I see, like, to me, it looks like an eye. Like, when you just look at it fast, it looks like an eye looking back at you. All right, and then we have the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, the Wheel of Fortune, Lord of the Forces of Life. The wheel of all life is presided over the sordid Sphinx of Egypt. The letters Tarot, T-A-R-O, and then in brackets T, appear at the four directions of the wheel and also form the word Rhoda, meaning wheel. The glyph at the center of the wheel is the seal of Ezekiel, and the symbol for Jupiter appears in the cushion at the bottom. The letter Kaf means palm of the hand, in the lines of which one's fortune may be read. Very cool. All right, so there's that one. And then we got the Sphinx at the top, the wheel, and we got the T, the T-A-R-O, or the R-O-T-A. So you got Tarot and Rota all happening in the same spot. Very cool card. And then we already looked at Justice. We've already read Justice. And like I said, if you want to know a little bit more about Justice, you can go back to Libra 1 and hear what we have to say with that. And then I'm going to go on to read about our new card that came in. So which is the Knight of Cups. And here it is. So I'm just going to kind of poke it out a little bit, but I'll pick it up after. And this is Lord of the Waves and Water. So Knight of Cups. Lord of the Waves and Water, and it's the fiery part of water. A youthful winged warrior with billowing hair rides upon a white horse. His crest is a peacock, for one of the stigmata of water in its most active form of brilliance, as is the representation of the phenomena of fluorescence. Beneath the horse's feet are the waters of the sea. A crab, the symbol of Cancer, emerges from the cup. Peacock feathers and a crab also appear on the lower portion of his shield. At the top of his shield, a crab-like sigil. All right, so let's take a look at that. And there it is. Very cool card. So here's our peacock. Here's the crab coming out of the cup. Here's him riding with his long, luscious, beautiful hair. We've got waves. We've got the crab with the peacock feathers on the shield. The horse has got different symbols on it. It's got two Pisces, which is weird. That's two Pisces in Aquarius. I don't know why we have the dual Pisces. But yeah. There's our Knight of Cups. Or Prince of Cups, depending on what deck you're looking at. But in this deck, both the RW and the Hermetic Tarot, it is the Knight. So that's kind of what's all going on with this Decan. I kind of like all of it. Like, we've got some good cards over here. Like, I like the Page of Cups. I like the Knight of Cups. I like the Ace of Cups. So I'm liking those energies. Jupiter is awesome. I'm good with the Wheel of Fortune. I love the Four of Swords, so I'm good with all of that. And Justice is that, like, restoring that that balance, that calmness, that kind of restoring that peaceful stuff that's happening, right? Because you've accepted where you're at or what's going on, like it said in the book, right? So I don't know, good with all of it, liking it. All right, let's get into 36 Secrets and see what T. Susan Chang has said about this Decan. And as usual, like I said, I read you guys some of it. I don't go into depth with all of it because I leave it for you to discover. This book is fabulous. If you have not purchased this book yet, don't hesitate, grab it. It's a good one. I'm really glad that this is part of my collection. And today, as I was kind of, cruising the chapter, looking and seeing what's going on, I thought to myself, I'm just going to do this again next year, but like privately, obviously not taping it and stuff like that. But I just thought to myself, like, I think that I'm just going to always be kind of paying attention to what Decan we're in and what cards in place and what's coming forward. Like, I feel like this is going to become like a life practice, part of just who I am and the way that I do things, right? Because this has adhered so closely to the different things and situations that have come up in my life during this Decan walk. And it's really cool how it forecasts all of that, right? And that goes to show you how much work and thought and contemplation and just the amount of work and knowledge that went into creating tarot, right? Both on both sides of the spectrum, whether it's the Thoth or the RW, so much thought put into it. And just to be able to sit down and to be able to create something that's so closely related to the zodiac and the planetary influences is crazy to me. Like that's beyond my ability, I'll tell you that right now. So this is quite it just elevates tarot that much more for me, right? And I hope it's doing the same for you guys too. All right, let's get in here and see what she said in her book. Okay, so she's calling this chapter Lord of Truce. And then she starts with, the recumbent knight. Sometimes my clients recoil a little when they first set eyes on him. Is he sleeping? Is he dead? Neither, I suppose. After a moment's reflection, it seems apparently he is a tomb, effigy, likely carved from stone, perhaps gilded with the late afternoon light, welcoming the last Decan of Libra, where beneath the manic whirligig dance of the falling leaves, the Earth's northern hemisphere is going dormant. So then she goes on to talk about how, with the combination of the Wheel of Fortune, the Jupiter energy, and the Justice card, how you can't help to think about balance, right? So we've got the Wheel, which is in balance. We've got Justice, which is a card of balance. And we've got Jupiter, which is bringing in that balancing energy once again. And she talks about how she does think that there is a sense of inner concentration in the Four of Swords, the knight at rest having found mental tranquility removed from the whirling and bustling of life. And then she goes on to talk about how she has spoken about the Fool representing the story of air, the journey of the mind from unscripted void to certainty. I use the keywords crossroads, compass, and choice to designate the cards of Libra. So adjustment, she says 2 and 3 and 4 of Swords, Aquarius, which is the Star, 5, 6, and 7 of Swords, Gemini, the Lovers, 8, 9, and 10 of Swords, respectively. Within the crossroad minors themselves, there are also a progression. We can think of the 2 of Swords as an impasse, where all routes look equally good. The 3 of Swords is a crisis when you realize that even so, you are bound to have to act. And the 4 of Swords is the compromise, where you make the deal with the spirit of the crossroads for mutual benefit. And then she goes on to talk about, although the tomb effigy is the 4 of Swords' central focus, the stained glass window in the upper left corner of the card merits a second look. Casually scrutiny reveals a supplicant kneeling before a saint-light haloed figure. But if you inspect the halo more closely, the word pax, P-A-X, which is Latin for peace, clearly emerges, a clear reference to the card's hermit title, truce or rest from strife. All right, let's take a look at that. I'm going to put this book down, because I never even noticed that. And when I saw that after reading the chapter, I was like, oh my God. Okay, so right up here, the halo, it says P-A-X. And I have never, ever noticed that before. Let's see if I can get this in real close. There we go. See it? P-A-X. How crazy is that? I've never noticed that. I never noticed it. Crazy to me. I was like, that blew me away. I was like, oh my God, I've never even noticed that. So that was crazy. That was like my favorite part about this Decan. I find the relationship of the knight to window extremely fruitful in the contents of the reading because it can be read in multiple ways. So she talks about the different ways to read it. It can symbolize death. Obviously, Pamela Coleman Smith has based her design on I think it's Winchelsea Church, whose walls famously feature lines of medieval tombs and various vivid stained glass windows. When someone dies, we say they were at peace, removed from the crazy living world, and it's represented by the window, right? And then she says it can also be read as vigil. So then she goes on to talk about by the late Middle Ages, European knighthood was acquired a number of ritual observances. One of these was a vigil where a squire on the eve of knighthood would stay up all night watching over his armor and praying, essentially dedicating his life as a knight to God. The Four of Swords could represent the knight's imagining his future life, the window, or the act of being knighted, kneeling. So we're looking at the kneeling figure in the window. Or the state of sanctity itself, the halo figured. The tension between the moral body and the purified soul. Vigil, incidentally, coordinates with the word for Eve in several Romance languages, as well as our own vigilant and vigilante. Then you can look at it as meaning sleep. The Four of Swords evokes our nightly rest in two different ways. One, most obviously, the act of dreaming. And two, the restorative qualities of sleep, in which the body processes metabolic waste and consolidates memory. The window then symbolizes preparation for the re-entry into life, or perhaps the memories from which are being processed, refined, and filed into archives. We can read it as meditation. In meditation, we learn to experience detachment from the chaos of the monkey mind, its fears, angers, regrets, and all of its longings and hopes. We can read the window as the chaos which we place at the removal of our core self. We can read the swords, too, as a similar metaphor, three swords, Lord of Sorrow, separated from the single sword representing mental self-possession. So she's talking about how there's three up here, and then there's one down below. You can read it as active imagination. The Four of Swords can represent this core practice for trance induction, journeying, astral travel, visualizations, active imagination. Whatever you call this process, it allows us to experience realities other than our own. And another way that we can also read it is divination. In the act of reading, the client's question takes on a life of its own. As readers, we allow ourselves to enter a receptive state, the night, so that we can have a better glimpse into the true nature of the problem. Here, the window represents enhanced information, regardless of whether we use it in a predictive fashion. So she goes on to talk about in her daily practice, she has experienced every one of these manifestations of the Four of Swords. She's found that during this Decan, she has tended to nap when she is not normally a person of naps, but just needing to lie down during the day with her eyes closed and relax, whether it's been due to migraines or just being tired, right? Maybe dreaming and having a really crazy night's sleep and needing to kind of catch up on her Z's. And then she also goes on to refer to the connection that she found between the Four of Swords and the Five of Pentacles. So the Five of Pentacles is the one with the two people outside walking in the snow, and you can see the window of the church, right? And she talks about how Pamela Coleman Smith prominently featured stained glass windows in both of those cards. In the Five of Pentacles, we find ourselves on the outside looking in, but in the Four of Swords, we are on the inside looking out. But actually, if we examine the images more closely, there is no looking in or looking out at all. The beggars in the 5 are turned away from the window, and the knight in the 4 has closed his eyes. And then she talks about, what if they were looking at each other through the window? What if the window is a veil that separates us from the unseen world? Both cards come up for me when I am doing spirit work. The Four of Swords more for the journeys and dreams, and the Five of Pentacles is more for the rituals. And then she goes on to talk about how the Four of Swords and the Five of Pentacles are elemental opposites, earth and air. What if, when we are feeling most isolated and out in the cold, as in the Five of Pentacles, we could be aware that there is someone just on the other side of that window who could help? What if, as we lie in solitary meditation in the still vigil of the Four of Swords, we could hear the voices of those on the other side? Those who rescue will be the making of us. So then her takeaway from the chapter is, when you draw the Four of Swords, consider it a complex invitation to A, to take a break from the tolling and spinning imposed on us by the external world, and B, to explore the rich landscape of the inner world. The keyword I use for 4 is gathering, which makes the Four of Swords quite literally the gathering of Four of Swords, which are your thoughts. So the gathering of your thoughts. Collecting your thoughts inevitably leads to the collected state of mind. Ironically, it seems that the collection of thoughts leads to an expansion of the worldview. As detailed above, the Four of Swords may call for meditation, active imagination, divination work, or sleep. Or it might simply be a general call to retreat and rest for a while so that you can restore your natural equilibrium. So that's what she has to say for the Four of Swords, which I couldn't agree with more. Like, even before reading all of that, that's kind of how I always saw that card. So it works for me and it makes sense to me. But like I said, the really interesting part is I've never noticed in the halo above that figure in the window, it says PAX, which is Pax, which means peace. So I don't know. I thought that was really super cool. The next one's going to be different, right? We're going into Scorpio. So the energies will all be different. And we're going to start off Scorpio pretty hard and heavy. So get ready for that one. But for right now, let's enjoy the peace of the Four of Swords and feel this restorative, wonderful energy. Okay, so looking at our wheel, this Decan takes place from October 13th to October 22nd. So our next video will be on October 23rd. And we'll be looking at the Five of Cups, unfortunately. But for now, we're in this lovely Four of Swords energy. So enjoy it while we have it. All right, so once again, thank you for watching. Hopefully you have a wonderful, peaceful, and restorative and restful Decan the next week or so. I think it's like 10 days or so. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.